If you think the worst kind of betrayal is catching your husband with another woman, you are wrong. The real heartbreak begins when you realize he was celebrating on a tropical island while you were giving birth to his child completely alone. The moment I truly lost my husband was not when the divorce papers appeared. It was the day he stepped off a private jet with another woman on his arm, smiling as though nothing had happened, while I was recovering in a hospital bed with our newborn son. For 2 weeks, he ignored every call from home, choosing luxury vacations over the family he claimed to love. When he finally returned, the first thing he asked was not whether I was alive or if our baby was healthy. His only concern was whether I had signed the divorce papers his mother had delivered to my hospital room. In that moment, I realized I had never truly been his priority. When he finally came looking for me, I was already gone. I left behind signed divorce papers, a flash drive, and one final message that would haunt him forever. I told him losing me would become the cheapest mistake he would ever make. He never bothered to listen to the recording or even open the drive because he believed I would always be waiting for him. That confidence became the biggest mistake of his life. Years earlier, our marriage looked nothing like this. When we first met, he was an ambitious entrepreneur trying to build his investment company from a small office with almost nothing to his name. I believed in every dream he shared with me. I stayed beside him through sleepless nights, helped him prepare presentations, and encouraged him whenever success felt impossible. But after his company became one of the most respected firms on Wall Street, everything changed. Business meetings replaced family dinners, international trips replaced anniversaries, and little by little I disappeared from his life while standing right beside him. Things became even more painful after I became pregnant. He missed nearly every doctor appointment, every ultrasound, and every important milestone. To the public, he looked like the perfect husband, posting polished family photos and heartfelt captions online. Behind closed doors, I spent almost my entire pregnancy alone. Then I accidentally found airline tickets proving he planned a romantic vacation with his executive, Brooke, during the exact week our son was expected to be born. I never confronted him because deep down I already knew the truth. I had simply been refusing to accept it. When labor finally began, he was relaxing on a tropical beach while I spent 11 exhausting hours fighting through childbirth without him. I called him, left a voicemail, and waited for him to answer. He never did. Instead, he ignored my message and continued enjoying his vacation. Days later, his mother arrived at my hospital room carrying divorce papers, expecting me to sign immediately. As I carefully read every page, I noticed suspicious financial clauses that had never existed before. In that instant, I realized this was no longer just about betrayal. Something much bigger was happening. Heartbroken and desperate, I reached out to my estranged father after nearly 8 years without speaking. Without asking questions, he welcomed me home and immediately sent my brother to help. Together, they examined the documents and discovered my signature would make me financially responsible for questionable company transactions. My husband's family had not only planned to end our marriage, they had planned to protect themselves by making me carry the consequences. My brother immediately froze every investment connected to my name and hired forensic accountants. Their investigation uncovered emails discussing my planned removal from the company structure immediately after I gave birth. That was the moment I understood my husband had been planning my exit long before our son entered the world. I quietly left the hospital that same night, carrying my baby in my arms and leaving behind the woman I used to be. While my husband searched desperately for me, investigators uncovered years of hidden fraud inside his company. Millions of dollars had been funneled through fake consulting firms. At first, everyone believed he was responsible because every transaction carried his approval. Eventually, the shocking truth surfaced. The mastermind was his own mother, who had manipulated company finances for years while hiding behind his authority. Even though he had not created the fraud, his neglect, arrogance, and refusal to pay attention allowed it to happen right under his nose. The board removed him from his own company. Investors walked away, regulators began asking questions, and the empire he had spent years building collapsed almost overnight. His mother resigned in disgrace, and everything they had tried to protect disappeared. My divorce was finalized peacefully. I never fought for revenge or public attention. I simply asked for what legally belonged to me and devoted my energy to raising my son. Returning to my family changed everything. My father and brother never reminded me of the mistakes I had made. Instead, they gave me the love and support I had been missing for years. Watching my son grow up surrounded by people who genuinely cared for him reminded me that family is measured by presence, not promises. Several months later, my former husband asked to see me one last time. Sitting across from me in a quiet cafe, he admitted he had mistaken success for sacrifice. He said he believed everything he had done was for our future. I calmly told him that somewhere along the way, our future had simply become his favorite excuse. He apologized and insisted he had never known what his mother had been doing behind the scenes. I believed him, but I also reminded him that choosing not to notice the people who love you is still a choice. He ignored every warning sign, every lonely night, every missed appointment, every unanswered phone call, and the birth of his own son. Before leaving, he placed a tiny pair of baby socks on the table. He admitted he had bought them before leaving for his vacation but never remembered to bring them home. I gently pushed them back toward him and smiled. Our son already has everything he needs. As he stood to leave, I wished him only one thing. I hoped one day he would become the father our child deserved. He quietly nodded before walking away, and that was the last time I ever saw him. Years later, when my son asked about his father, I never poisoned his heart with anger. I simply told him that every person is remembered by the choices they make. Some choices build families while others destroy them. His father made decisions he could never take back, and I made the decision to never let those mistakes define our future. Looking back now, I understand something I wish I had learned much sooner. Love without respect slowly becomes dependence. Success without integrity eventually destroys itself. And forgiveness without accountability only gives people permission to hurt you again. People often believe the greatest revenge is watching the person who betrayed you lose everything. They are wrong. The greatest revenge is waking up one day and realizing their absence no longer hurts, because you have built a life so full of peace, purpose, and love that they are no longer part of the story. That was not just my victory. It was my freedom.